I was too determined to give up. Like, I almost feel like I would be doing a disservice if I wasn't sharing my story, because I wanted to start new. I feel like this is my purpose now. And
welcome back to the Cypress Room, where we dive deep on influencing with integrity. This is a podcast for creators, and I'm Christina Mascari.
And I'm Meggie Honeycutt.
And we have an awesome creator interview for today. We're going to just jump right in it. We want to welcome to the Cypress Room, Lindsay Keosayian.
Thank you so much, Christina and Meggie, for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
We are so excited to have you because we know your amazing story and we want to share it with all our viewers. And just a little background, Lindsay is a former furniture flipper, but she's doing something completely different now. So I want you to tell the people about it. We're not going to read a bio and bore them. We just want to jump in because there's so much meat and so much to share today. So can you tell everybody what you're doing today, what kind of content you're creating?
I was in the furniture industry for a while, for many years. And after I had COVID, I ended up getting pretty sick and I had a lot of different health issues. I went from doctor to doctor trying to figure out what was wrong and couldn't really get to the bottom of it until I went down like the holistic and functional medicine route. And when I started to change my diet and my lifestyle, I ended up switching over to like healthier foods and recipes. And now I'm sharing that with my followers and I absolutely love it.
Well, and I have to just like give you a huge plug. Like if you're not following Lindsay, she has over 1 million followers on Instagram. So we got to give you a Cypress Room round of applause.
Yay.
And the crazy thing is that her old account, she doesn't post on anymore. It's called Forever Pink Vintage. And you have over 100,000, you have 118,000 followers over on that account. The fact that you've been able to build 2 accounts like that is a wild. So we just knew we had to have you on here.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it was a little bit frustrating, you know, when I decided to leave the furniture world and switch over to a totally new industry because I knew that I was starting from square one. But I just felt like what I was doing before just wasn't serving me anymore in terms of my health. And I just decided to give it my all. And I ended up meeting so many other people that were also struggling with their health and just needed help. And that was my intention, to help share healthier recipes. And I've met so many wonderful people since I started this new account, although I do deeply miss the furniture world and all of my friends there, but I do still keep in contact with some of them, which is really nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to back up a little bit. Can you give us kind of this timeline? Like when you started to dive into this more holistic way of healing your body, were you documenting like from day one? Did you say, oh, I'm going to start a new Instagram page, document my journey? Or was it a process and then you decided, oh my gosh, I'm healing myself, let me share it with everybody? Tell us about kind of the origins of how you decided to document your healing journey and the food that helped you do it.
Sure. So I actually started to document things on my Forever Pink Vintage account because after I had COVID and had recovered, one of my first early symptoms was I was having lower back pain. So I immediately thought, oh my gosh, like I'm lifting furniture all day, every day. I definitely injured my back from lifting. I need to take a break from it. So I kind of was sharing things on there. I ended up taking a break from the furniture, which I shared with my followers. And then other symptoms started to persist, like stomach issues, neuropathy, just a bunch of weird symptoms. And I was like, this can't be from furniture. Like something else has to be going on here. So then I completely took a break from furniture because I had to focus on me and figure out what was going on. Went to a bunch of conventional doctors and unfortunately wasn't getting answers. I had so many tests done and basically, you know, all the doctors said, your tests are normal. Everything looks fine. Maybe it's stress. They couldn't really, you know, help me. And I just knew my body and I knew something wasn't right. So I just kept at it and decided to see a functional medicine doctor. And it really wasn't until that point that they started testing me for things that a conventional doctor would never test me for. For example, heavy metals, like I had toxic levels of mercury in my system. I had toxic levels of mold in my system. I had all these like underlying things. Plus I had COVID, so I had that virus. And I think my whole system just kind of started to shut down. So I did get, answers from them and started to make improvements. I actually went to the bookstore one day because I was so desperate because I wasn't getting answers. And I was like, I'm going to read about food and just health and wellness and see if, I can get some type of help here. So I picked up this one book, and in the book, the author, who is also a doctor and suffered from MS, shared how foods can just totally change your life and totally heal you. And so I started to eliminate things that I did not want to eliminate, like dairy and gluten and refined sugar. I had what I thought was a relatively decent diet, but once I started removing those things and seeing like major improvements, I was like, wow, I really wasn't as healthy as I thought I was. So anyway, in terms of answering your question, Meggie, about documenting things, I actually got a journal, and I was like, I'm going to do this new diet, whatever you want to call it. I don't really like the word diet, but I'm going to modify what I'm eating for at least like 90 to 100 days. And I'm going to write down every day what I'm eating, what my symptoms are, and how I'm feeling. And I started to do that. I didn't share anything publicly. I hadn't made my new account yet. I just wanted so desperately to feel better. So I eliminated dairy, gluten, eggs, refined sugar, things like that. And it was really hard in the beginning because I was like, what the heck am I going to eat? Like, I don't know what I'm going to eat. But I did it. And I would say definitely within the first couple of weeks, I started to feel better, just in terms of like my energy levels were better. I was sleeping better. I just felt like I was making some improvements because I was sick for like over a year, like very sick. And so, yeah, once I started to see these improvements, I was like honestly shocked because I don't know. I just never was educated that food is medicine and food can truly heal you. So it was motivating because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling better. Like I can do this. There's things out there that you can do naturally to help you. So, several months went by and I kind of just stuck with, the new lifestyle of what I was eating. And I was making all these recipes at home because I was just focusing on my health and I wasn't doing the furniture or anything. So I guess at that time I had decided, you know what, I don't think furniture is for me anymore. I was so deeply passionate about it and I loved it so much.
And you were so good at it.
Well, likewise
You
to
were.
you. I looked up to you and still look up to you for, all of the amazing furniture transformations that you've done. But yeah,
That's so kind. Thank you.
I just had to, close that chapter and I just, prayed about it and just asked God to help me, find a new path and help people because, I met so many others who were dealing with similar issues and just couldn't seem to get help. And, at some point you kind of just feel like you want to give up. Like I'm so sick. I don't feel good. I'm tired of going to all these doctors. I'm spending so much money not getting answers. It's so defeating and it's so frustrating. But like I said, I started to make healthier recipes and then I decided I'm going to document these on a new, social media platform and it's just going to be for myself. I'm enjoying doing this. I'm feeling better. Like this is a totally different industry from filming furniture refinishing to now I'm trying to film food. Totally different. But I really enjoyed like learning all about it. And so I just started sharing and my account started to grow and I started connecting with people and that's, kind of how I am where I am today.
Yeah, I love the story of it's just so prime for community because it's people at the end of the rope being like, I've tried all these things and it's not working. And here's someone who's not only been through that same journey that can empathize with you, but like, here's these tools that are working for me. And like, it's just primed to explode because of the passion you had behind it and the actual help like you're giving to people. You're not like, buy this, buy this, buy this, and you'll feel happier. It's like, no, make these changes and you're going to feel them in your body. So it's very inspiring.
Totally. Thank you so much. Yeah. And looking back, I wish I had somebody that could help me and guide me and direct me. Like, have you been tested for this? Or have you, thought about this? Are you hydrating yourself? Are you like managing your stress levels? Are you getting the proper amount of sleep each night? There were a lot of factors in my life that I kind of disregarded, especially when I had my furniture business, because as you know, Christina, like when you're your own boss, sometimes you keep working and you just keep working and you
don't take care of yourself.
You're like, oh, I forgot to, to eat all day, or I haven't drank any water, or I'm up till 2 a.m. editing, furniture transformations and things like that.
I'm feeling very convicted right now. I'm going to reach down and grab some water.
But yeah, there were just things that, I didn't focus on because I kind of always thought, if you eat healthy and you exercise, then you're a healthy person. But there is just so much more to health than that. So those are the things that I've, been working on over the last couple of years. And I'm actually back in school now to become a certified holistic health coach through IIN.
What? That's
So
awesome.
cool.
I'm really, really excited about that because truly, I do really want to help people. Like, that is my main focus right now. I don't want them to have to go through what I went through, or, I don't want them to have to waste, years searching for answers when, maybe they had heavy metals toxicity and they could get it figured out and fixed, sooner than I did. So that's why I'm here.
So with that new schooling that you're working on, will that expand your business beyond just recipes and food? What do you envision that, how is that going to complement what you're already doing?
That's a great question. So after I'd started my new account, and, I follow other influencers in my new industry now, I had seen some posting about this, certification to be a holistic health coach. So I looked into it and I was like, wow, this is super interesting. Like, I think I want to take these courses just for my own knowledge and for my own health transformation to continue improving my health. So that really was my initial goal when I started taking the courses. And then as I'm going through all the modules, they're talking about, oh, well, you can actually be a health coach and help others. So I was like, wow, like I was doing this for myself, but now I can actually, have like coaching sessions with clients and help, guide them towards, their own personal health transformation. So it was actually funny because, Christina, I don't know if you remember this, but when I was on my Forever Pink page, I did like virtual consultations with furniture artists, to help them if they had questions about refinishing furniture or things like that. And I was like, wow, this is like coming full circle because now I feel like I'm going to be doing something similar, but in terms of health and wellness. So it's really exciting.
That's really
That is
exciting.
exciting.
And it's, like we don't know what this content creation world is going to bring. So it's so smart to have something besides just creating the content and just having Instagram to have like a landing place where you can actually go and have those deeper connections and help people. I think is just like super smart. And obviously it's super fulfilling for you. So if, Instagram blows up tomorrow, you still have something that you're building towards and that you're building equity in your business. So I love that.
Yeah. And I kind of wanted to talk about, we were just discussing the other day that the way that we find recipes and consume food content has really changed recently.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I used to go to Pinterest for recipes. That was the way back in the day. And now you can go on Instagram and TikTok and just search what you're looking for and find all these creators with recipes that kind of fall in that category. And now you hit the 1 million subscriber mark. So that tells me that I think we were maybe right. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? And how fast did you reach that 1 million subscriber mark on Instagram? And congratulations, by the
I
way.
know, it's
That's
so
a huge
amazing.
accomplishment.
And just know that when we all saw that, all the furniture painters, because we were like, oh yeah, where is Lindsay? We're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Such a big deal.
You're too sweet. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's really kind of you. I really appreciate it. So I started my account in January of 2023, and
Wow.
yeah, so it did take off pretty quickly. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, my furniture account didn't do anywhere near as well as what my new account is, but I was like, well, the food and health and wellness industry is like so much larger than furniture.
Yeah.
But I will say, I will say that I did take a couple months off last fall because my mother was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. So that was just a shock for my family.
Yeah.
And I took some time off because I moved back home with her, and I, wanted to help take care of her. My father also has dementia. So I share this because I know so many other people can relate, and also because my parents have motivated me so much just because of what they're going through. They've motivated me even more so now to focus on my health and to take care of myself because, I want to live a long, fulfilling, happy life. And it starts when you're younger, for sure.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Sure.
And you're out here changing the legacy of how other people's health and their health journey. So it just it's got to feel more fulfilling than furniture. Does it?
It does.
Furniture's great.
Although there's something so rewarding about seeing like an amazing furniture transformation, from picking it up on the side of the road to then, staging it in this beautiful atmosphere and shipping it to another state across the country. But yeah, I feel like this is my purpose now. And like, I almost feel like I would be doing a disservice if I wasn't sharing my story because, I was never sick like that ever in my life before. And I never really understood what it was like to be sick until it happened to me. And like I said, I know there's so many other people out there that can relate and are desperately looking for answers and they want to give up. But, I know that the body can heal when you give it the proper care and nutrients. And I just want other people to know that too, so that they can, stay motivated and live their best life.
Yeah. And what you do on your account is you like make it look fun and you make it look tasty.
Yes.
So I kind of want to go into that practicality of it because you talked about it's completely different than how I used to film furniture. So can you walk us through the process of how you started filming food, like the ideas you would get, how it's different, the way you like to do it? Because I imagine that was just like a process that naturally evolved over time and you found like your style.
It did definitely. So I was looking at recipes in like cookbooks and then I would just tweak them. And I definitely have always had a sweet tooth. So a lot of my recipes are geared towards like desserts, like healthier. Like I don't use any refined sugar in any of my recipes. So I'll sweeten them with like dates or maple syrup or raw honey or like ripe bananas. Those are pretty much the foods that I use for sweeteners. But yeah, in the beginning, I mean, oh my gosh, I was such a novice. Like I would just like set up my little tripod that I had from when I was refinishing furniture and I would just like angle it, towards my kitchen counter and I'm just throwing stuff in bowls and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Was it always like first person? Like I can see it through your eyes. Is that how you've always filmed? Is like you and your hands in the bowl?
Pretty much. I would
Pretty
say.
much.
But,
Okay.
I mean, I also like sometimes now I'll do like you can see more of me like making the food and like putting it into the oven or, doing things like that. But I try to do more like close up because I want my audience to feel like they're with me in the kitchen, like making the recipe with me and hearing the sound effects and things like that. So yeah, I would say in the beginning, I was definitely doing recipes that had a lot more ingredients. And then over time, I was like, I still do make a lot of recipes at home, that have more steps and more ingredients, but I have found that the simple, quick recipes, 5 ingredients or less, they tend to perform the best. And, they're easy. Like, people are busy, so they want quick recipes that taste good, that, aren't hard to make. And so that's kind of what I focus on now, like healthier, simple recipes with minimal ingredients, that don't require a bunch of different appliances or things like that.
That is what has pulled me in, because I really want to try to make those peppermint patties, because I'm not a baker. I'm not a chef. I'm not a cooker. And you know what I'm obsessed with right now is the cucumber guy, because it's super easy.
Yeah.
It's super easy. And I love cucumbers. And I'm like, oh, I feel like this is better than me eating a turkey sandwich, which is normally what I'm eating. So I just tried
your video too.
I just tried one of those. It's so fun. And it's something that I've done with the kids, and the kids are like, I want to try that. So like, I want to show them your recipes, because I think it would be something that we could do together, and it's not overwhelming and it's not a bunch of steps. And I would love to try to like see how some of these go. So you've inspired me, and coming from a person who does not like to cook at all, I think that's saying a lot.
Yeah, it is. And now you're on Instagram right now,
Yes.
focused, but do you have plans to maybe take it to long form video or over to TikTok? Kind of how do you envision this brand growing on social media, or do you just plan to kind of stay to Instagram focused?
That's a great question, and other people have asked me that as well. I definitely at some point would like to get a website or a blog up so that I can put all my recipes there. For right now, they're just listed in the caption of each reel. I would also love one day to have a book, like a cookbook or just some type of health or wellness book, sharing my journey with others. So those are kind of, some things that I've been thinking about, that I have, nothing in the works, but just thoughts for right now.
Yeah, I'm going to give you unsolicited advice, because I searched YouTube and TikTok to see if you were on there. And I'm going to we can talk about this offline, but I'm going to force you to hire someone just to repost your current stuff there, because other people are taking your stuff and already posting it. So I want you to get credit for it. It's going to perform on both of those. It's going to perform on Shorts, and it's going to perform on TikTok. It's just going to. And I understand like having way too many things to do. So we're going to figure out how we can hire somebody to just be taking your old things and reposting them for you, because people are taking your content and putting it up. They're taking it from your Instagram and putting it up, and it's
Boo.
I know, boo. They and once you start putting it up, then you can take all their stuff down, and that's not to freak you out. Whatever. If someone's going to try to steal something, they're going to get theirs at the end of the day, because nothing good comes from stealing somebody else's content. Like, nothing good is going to come from that. But I think it would just perform everywhere. So
No, I appreciate
we're going to get somebody to repost it for you, so you don't have to do the extra work.
Recommendations are totally welcome.
Maybe you can hire Meggie. No, she doesn't have time right now either. She doesn't have time right now either. But we will think of somebody. Sorry, I had to, like, when I saw it last night, I'm like, oh, am I going to say this to her or not? I'm like, yes, I'm going to say it. Because if other people are stealing her content and putting it up on these platforms, it needs to be up there. So, yeah.
Well, one of the questions I always have for like food creators that I think about is like, how do you stay inspired and keep creating new stuff? Because I don't know, you're putting out a big volume of content. Like, how are you always creating the new, and where does the inspiration come from? And kind of walk us through that process too.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say I focus a lot on seasonal recipes, or I at least try to. So now, everybody's loving the fall pumpkin recipes. So I do focus on those. And I do get a lot of inspiration from watching others. So, I will sit down and dedicate some time to scrolling and getting ideas. And, obviously seeing the viral recipes is really exciting to recreate your own. But it is hard sometimes, because I do hit roadblocks, and, I'll feel frustrated, like, oh, I don't know what to do or post or what to make. And I kind of take that as a sign, like, okay, just take a step back, maybe take a break for a little bit and regroup, and just, do something else, and you can focus on it later. Or, you'll get inspired maybe just by going to the grocery store and, I don't know, seeing something or, whatnot. talking to somebody and they share something that, their family made and it might give you inspiration. So yeah, I would say definitely like I try to stick with the seasons and just do what I love. I've done recipes before where I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool, but it's just not something I'm deeply passionate about. So if I'm filming something that I'm just not excited about, it's not worth it for me. Like I'd rather just focus on the things that make me happy, and that I'm passionate about, because they're just more fun and it just makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I'm curious. I feel like every food creator has a signature like recipe. What would you say yours is? Or is there one in particular that kind of skyrocketed you on Instagram and brought in a bunch of new followers? What's your signature recipe?
So this is funny because this is actually one of the first recipes that I ever shared. It's my favorite recipe. And I shared it again recently, and it's one of my most popular recipes. So it's my no-bake carrot cake truffles. They are so delicious. You don't bake them, they're raw. They have like obviously the carrots, they've got a bunch of spices in them. I use dates as the sweetener. You can use pure maple syrup or raw honey. And then they're covered in like a cashew vanilla frosting with like some vanilla. Oh my gosh, they're so delicious. They're my favorite. So I would say that's definitely one of my most popular and my personal favorite as well.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
I mean, if y'all have not checked out her Instagram, you just scroll all day long. You will find something
I
that
know.
you want to make.
I want to know though too, because you had a big community of like furniture flippers that you were kind of involved with. Have you been able to find community in food content? Like, do you have some peers that you're in community with that you get to like bounce ideas off of? Is that something that's still in process? What has that been like?
Yeah, I definitely have formed a new community, in the food industry. And I've met some of them in person, which has been awesome. Another thing that I would love to do, in the future is collaborate with these, food influencers and do recipes together. But yeah, it's kind of similar to the furniture world. Like you just kind of like find them and you share your story with them and you relate on certain things and you connect with certain people and keep in touch with them regularly. And it's been awesome. Like there are definitely several that we've related with on so many different topics. And I've met them in person and they're just as wonderful in person as they are, on social media. So it is really cool.
That's very cool. I love that you've been in two different industries, so we can
I know,
ask you like
it's really fun.
the nitty gritty, the down and dirty, I guess is what I want to kind of say. Because I know that as an industry, my experience has been that DIY, especially furniture painting, is a very hard business to make a ton of money, and brand partnerships are. It's just smaller companies, so there's not a ton out there. Now, I know you're in a bigger niche. I think, like you said, just a bigger audience. But again, I know you're doing kind of more natural things. So I'm interested to know, like, in terms of brand partnerships, have you seen more like fruit and kind of bigger deals and more opportunities in the niche that you're in now?
Yeah, I would say with the furniture world, I made more of my money like actually selling my furniture pieces. Rather than collaborating with brands. I mean, there were a lot of opportunities doing that, but for me, like I focused on selling my pieces and that was, kind of where I generated the most income. But now with the food industry, I feel like there's just so many different avenues you can go, whether you're working with, food companies to promote their appliances or like their actual food products or things like that. Like there's just more opportunities. So I'm not like really selling a product anymore myself to make money. Like I'm doing collaborations with brands, which is how I'm generating income, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And so are you enjoying that aspect of it? Because it sounds like you didn't do that a lot with furniture. Are you enjoying the brand collaboration process?
I am. I love it. And I have learned, like when I was doing furniture, I almost felt like I had to say yes to like every opportunity that came in. Whereas now I'm realizing that it's okay to say no. Like you don't have to say yes to everything.
Preach. More people need to hear that.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally. Like it's, saying yes to everything is just, I feel like that's impossible to just balance everything if you're constantly saying yes. So yeah, I do kind of pick and choose, what brands I like to promote, but I do only promote brands that I'm like 100% passionate about. If I'm not using the product myself, or if I don't love it, again, I just feel like I would be doing a disservice by promoting them, and I would not be able to come off as authentic if I'm trying to promote something that I'm not passionate about.
Yeah. Now, I would imagine with your size and just like, because I love you, that people would just be like, are people just sending you stuff in hopes that you will work with them one day? Do you get a lot of PR?
I do. Yeah, I do. I get a lot of emails, a lot of PR. I'll get a lot of like active wear and things like that, which is really exciting because
Ooh, that's fun.
That is fun.
yeah, I love that. Like I love getting new like workout outfits and things like that. When I was doing furniture, I wore workout stuff, so not much has really changed in terms of like my outfits and things like that, but I feel like it's now more appropriate with what I'm doing. Just because I'm into like the health and working out all the time and just like these healthier recipes. So yeah, it is fun. I mean, I will get, I don't know, I'll get everything from like active wear to, I got like a tropical fruit box the other day with all of these amazing fruits like soursop and dragon fruit and things like that.
Wow, that's cool.
Or like herbal teas. Yeah, just a lot of really fun things. So it's really cool opening them and just trying everything out.
That's super fun. So I would assume, are you running all your stuff, or do you work with an agency or have management?
I am currently running all of my stuff right now. So
Woo, that's a lot of work.
Wow.
Have you had agents reach out to you wanting to represent you?
I have, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I would imagine you would.
Yeah.
I have, yes.
That's good. Sometimes it works for people, sometimes it doesn't, And if you get to a spot where you're like, this is too much, I want to offload this, you have the option. But I think you're better off handling it if you can and you negotiate well. I think it's better just kind of keeping it tight if that's what works for you.
I agree. I will say that, this is just advice for others out there who, are maybe wanting to work with an agency. Just be careful who you end up working with because, they obviously have to make money as well. And you just want to make sure that it's, a good match. I won't go into too much detail, but I did, I guess, sign a contract with one agency. And I probably should have done a little bit more research than I did. And it ended up not being the right fit because I felt like it wasn't really beneficial for me, but it was really beneficial for them. So, I just politely declined and decided not to work with them anymore. But yeah, definitely do your research and make sure that it's mutually beneficial on both ends.
Yeah.
Good
advice.
I'm curious, obviously you have a lot on your plate. Do you plan for your content? Do you say to yourself, I want to post 3 reels a week? Or is it really just organic as you're coming up with stuff, you're putting the content out? What does your planning process look like for how much content you release and how often?
So I now have a journal, which is so much better than what I was doing before because I felt like I was just, okay, I'll film this today. And then, when I get done editing it, I'll post it and I'll kind of go from there. But I'm a very organized person. Before I was refinishing furniture, I was an elementary school teacher. So I just like to have things in order. And that just wasn't working for me. So I definitely try to plan things out now. I try to shoot for, I don't know, maybe 3-ish videos a week. At one point I was trying to post something every single day. And looking back, I'm like, how was I even doing that? I don't even know. But I think sometimes when you have like such momentum, you just keep going with it. And You don't really let anything stop you. But yeah, I'll try to do, like three a week, and I'll plan it out. And, there's times where things come up, like you try to film the recipe and something goes very wrong and you're like, well, I can't share this. I have to refilm. So you kind of have to, be patient and flexible, because things may change, and you kind of just have to roll with it.
Yeah.
I have another like practical question for you, because I've been creating content for a long time and I get the itch to be like, I just want to do something completely new, or maybe this is the end of the season for this. I want to know what went into your decision of, instead of just changing the current account that you had and just being like, okay, this is me now, we're switching over to this. Why did you make this strategic decision to just start a brand new account from zero, which I think is very brave?
Yeah.
Christina, I cannot tell you how long I thought about either switching over to a new account completely or just using the one that I had before. I really didn't know what to do, because I was like, I've built up like, somewhat of a following on my furniture page, because that took me years to build
Yes.
up.
Yeah.
And I was kind of,
And you don't want to lose all those people either. You're like,
Right.
well, it's such a hard decision.
it was such a hard decision, and it took me so long to figure it out, because I was like, well, I'm also sharing my story kind of, so what if I just like change my name and then get rid of the furniture content and start new? And then I was like, but I don't know if I want to get rid of that content because I worked so hard on it. But I think I just, at the end of the day, I decided, what I'm doing now is literally completely different from what I was doing before. Not that it really matters, but I think the algorithm would have been so confused. They're like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? And I think I just wanted to keep my old account the way it was and start fresh. I think I wanted to start new. And so I remember I filmed like multiple recipes, because I was like, well, when I start my new account, I don't want to have like nothing to post. So I filmed like 5 or 6 recipes, and then I think I posted them like all within the same day or two. And then I think I shared something on my furniture page that, I'm switching over, here's why, and would love to have you, follow me on my new account. So, I think it was just the fact that the industries were both so different that I really couldn't find a way to like intertwine them. So I just started over.
I love that, because I just think it's a question that a lot of people ask themselves. So I wanted to hear you like walk through that process. And I think it's a process that we went through when we started this podcast, because we're like, well, we have all like, what if I just put it on my channel and mark it as a podcast? But the more we talked about it, we're like, it's so different and it's so niched off of what I'm doing over there. Like, yes, it would give us like this springboard and maybe it'll get more views if we did it that way. But we just really felt like, okay, no, this is supposed to be its separate thing. This is supposed to be like our baby. We don't want it attached to Pretty Distressed at all. We want it to be like its own standalone thing. And so we're believing for that 1 million.
I know.
We're slow growing over here, but it's something that we built from the ground up. And so, I love hearing your process of walking through that.
It's that thing that everybody's talking about, like, don't niche down, be your niche. But I think in your situation, it was a little different, because your life took such a sharp left turn that just everything changed for you. So I think that it made total sense that you just said, okay, no, I need to start fresh. Whereas, there's some people who want to branch out from a niche, so they just start bringing in different parts of themselves in addition to the thing that they were already doing. So, but I think it's a big question for people who want to bring in different types of content to what they're already creating.
Yeah, but
do I start over? Do I just...
I think it's like such a beautiful thing too, that just because you're successful in this one area, when you have a passion and you feel like something's taking you in a different direction, like, don't be afraid to follow that. I mean, you're just an example of, it worked and it's amazing, and look at this blessing that you have. And it might not work for everybody who takes that chance, but you'll never know if you don't take the chance. It's like, we always say, like, well, you never know if you're going to have a successful YouTube channel if you don't just start a YouTube channel. Like, if you just sit there and ponder about it and be like, well, and I don't want to lose this and if you don't take the chance, then you don't have the opportunity for it to take off. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
totally
inspiring.
agree.
It is.
I always tell people that ask, if when they're asking me like, oh, I want to start something, but, I don't know if it's the right time. I mean, if you think about it being that just right time or the perfect timing, like you'll never start doing it. So
Yep.
I just tell them like, just go for it and try not to let perfectionism get in the way, because that will literally hold you back forever. So if you have an idea, just roll with it and just take it as it comes, and it'll all work out. Whatever's meant to be will be. So, but yeah, you got to start somewhere. So you might as well just take that chance and take that opportunity and go for it.
Yeah. And if you have like that passion and that deep why behind it, who knows where it can go?
Yeah.
So your story is just so inspiring, and we just definitely wanted to get it out to our listeners. I was like, we have to reach out to Lindsay. And so thank you for saying yes, for being on the podcast. It's been such a pleasure having you on.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
for
Thank you
sure.
guys so much for having me. This has been so much fun. I was so thrilled when I got, the email about being on it. I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to. So,
Well, I have to tell you guys, this is an important interview that needs to happen because we had major technical difficulties
Yes.
before we got on here. And we literally did not do anything to fix it. All of a sudden, it just started working. And I was like, okay, so this needs to go out. Somebody
This
was
is for
trying to stop
somebody.
you guys from hearing this. So I want you to know how important it is. I guess before we jump into our favorite things, I just wanted to ask if you could just leave just a little bit of encouragement for someone who's kind of flailing right now. And they're like, I have this dream and I want to put it out there, but I just don't know how to do it. What do you want to speak to their heart today to encourage them?
yeah, I would just say that, if you're passionate about something and you have an idea, just go with it. Like, don't listen to what other people are saying. You got to listen to your gut and what your heart is telling you. And another thing that I would recommend is to try not to focus on the numbers. Like, don't focus on like number of followers or number of views or number of dollars, because that can really get in the way of growth and succeeding. So just focus on what makes you happy and the rest will come.
That's so
good.
great.
That's
And
good.
I think we just want to speak a little bit of encouragement into you. I mean, I feel like we've been doing it the whole podcast, but I'll go first and I'll let Meggie just share a little something. I just want to thank you for your vulnerability in sharing your health journey. I remember watching it, Lindsay's another person that I met at Haven. So I swear it's like a shout out every time I do an episode. You got to meet people in person. And I just remember you were going through a rough time personally at that time. And then I think the sickness came on like right after that. And you had every reason to just like shrivel back and just give up and be like, well, this, and just blame COVID and blame this. And you decided, no, like, I'm going to fight this. This is not the calling on my life. Like, I am supposed to live. I'm supposed to be healed. I'm supposed to live abundantly. And I just want to thank you for that vulnerability I know like you were in the deepest depths of despair, and letting us into that and showing us how you fought and how you fought for your health and how you're doing that for other people now. It's truly inspiring. And just to see the blessing that has come from that vulnerability is just really beautiful. And I think people need to share it, but we would have never been able to hear this story, this beauty that came from ashes, if you wouldn't have been vulnerable enough to be like, hey, this really sucks right now and I don't know what to do. So I just want to thank you for letting us into that space and letting us just follow along on the journey. It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I would say you're just such an example of the power of your story, like, and sharing your story, because I can't imagine how many people out there felt the same as you, alone, and like they were the only ones. And now they could look at your content and be encouraged and feel like not so alone, but also to have some practical things that they can do to start healing their bodies. Because I know I've been in a similar situation where you just feel gaslit by doctors and you can't find answers, and it really makes you feel like you are going crazy. And it is so isolating. And so for you to be willing to share your story out on the internet and open yourself up to criticism too, because I know people can be so cruel in the food world and so critical of like ingredients and, oh, you think this works? Oh no, this, and to open yourself up to that and say like, no, this is important. This is valuable. And obviously you have 1 million followers, so it has resonated with people. It has helped people. I hope that even if nobody has sent you a thing and told you how much you've helped them, that you can be encouraged knowing that I'm sure you've planted so many seeds that you will never know how they've impacted people. And so I just thank you for being willing to come on here and share your story. I was so excited because after I met you at Haven, I watched your journey of when you got sick too, but then I don't know, I just never saw the solution. So when Christina was like, guess what? Like, no way. Because I just never saw it after your Forever Pink vintage. Like, it just kind of disappeared. And it was so exciting to be able to see you again.
I don't know, but if you know, but she's also engaged now.
Woo! Oh,
that
girl.
was a newer development too since the last time we've seen you. So congratulations on that.
Congratulations. And thank you so much for being willing to come on here to our little podcast and share your story.
Thank you guys so much. I just got the goosebumps when you were, talking about all of that. And yeah, it's definitely, it was scary and overwhelming. And, at times I did feel very alone, but I stuck with it, and I was too determined to give up. And, I hope that my story can help others. And, there's always a way to heal. And it doesn't have to be these huge, massive changes you make. Like, small things each day really add up over time. And I think if people understand that, just little things here and there that start to become habits can make a huge difference, that's much less overwhelming than trying to drastically change something, overnight. So healing is definitely possible. And yeah, I'm just so happy to be here with you guys. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and it can taste good. I'm going to make those
Yes.
peppermint patties,
Yes.
and I'm going to report back to you.
I want to try the carrot cake
The carrot cake truffles.
Oh,
we should
that
we should
sounds
make
right
a reel.
up my
We should make a
alley.
reel where we're making them and share it on Cypress Room.
We should.
Like a little baking
Well, yes. Oh my gosh.
Gosh,
The next
I
time
need
we're
help because I'm terrible at
well,
baking.
the next time we're doing this at your house, and we're gonna make things together and eat it. We can have our own little
That'd be so
mukbang. What are those called? Are they still doing those? It's like when people used to just get on YouTube and eat. They're called
And talk.
mukbangs
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, it was trending like years ago. They literally would just have all this food and just eat.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Oh, the trends, how they come and go. Well, so we're going to transition to our favorite things,
Yeah.
and we're going to let you go first because I'm sure you have some item that we need to have in our kitchen today. So we'll let you go first.
I never had one of these before I started doing my recipes, or just ever, even when I was baking on my own. But a food processor. I love my food processor. You're going to have to correct me on the name. Cuisinart?
I think I say Cuisinart, but that could be regional.
Yeah.
I've heard so many different ways to say it, so I'm not
Someone
sure.
in the comments is going to correct us, so
Yeah.
don't worry.
Don't
Please let
you
us know
worry.
how you pronounce Cuisinart or Cuisinart. Let
I
us
think
know
you
how
just
say
said it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's my favorite. I love it. I have two. I have like a mini one, and then I have a larger one. I use it for
Okay.
everything. So that's
Now, do we have a Cuisinart sponsorship yet?
not at the moment.
You haven't worked it with them yet. All right, we're calling that into existence.
Yep,
That's going to be your
putting it
next
out
one.
there.
We're putting it out there. And we'll learn how to say it before we do a brand partnership. Awesome. And I love your food processor and your content. It's so much fun to watch, and the noise is so fun. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll
little
be-
ASMR.
yeah,
that
and
sounds
those would be good. Those would be good Christmas presents coming up for
Yes,
people
they
who are
would.
on their health journey. I love that you talked about activewear because mine for today is activewear. I'm actually wearing my new, I don't know how to pronounce it either. I think it's Crazy Yoga, but some people have told me that it's CRZ Yoga. It is a brand, an activewear brand on Amazon, and it has items that are inspired by, I think, Lululemon. So they have a lot of the same styles. Their fabric, they have a couple of fabrics that are like super soft. And so I have their leggings and a top on with a built-in bra. I worked out in it today. We had strength training day, so I didn't get too sweaty. So I'm still wearing it. But it's super comfortable. And it's like $30 for the leggings and $30 for the top. Okay.
Wow.
And it looks to me like something that I would buy at Lululemon or Athleta. So I am all about breaking off the brand names these days and just buying things that are affordable and look good. So I'll link this outfit, but I'll also just link the whole store because I get my daughter's leggings from there now and her shorts that she wears for dance and stuff. They have a lot of the high-waisted leggings, and I'm saving money, so I'm saving the money savings onto you. I'm blessing everyone with them today, so check them out.
My favorite thing is beauty related, and it is actually the e.l.f. bronzing drops.
I saw you using them in your stories the
I
other
am
day.
very late to the bronzing drops trend, but I decided to jump on because I do love a little glow on my face, and I mix them in with my sunscreen and put it on my face, and it gives a little bit of a sun-kissed look.
Beautiful.
I love that. I'm definitely going to have to check those out.
Okay, well, and I know you just made a reel on this, so I'm going to call you out a little bit and make
what?
you talk about this because we have Lindsay here who just switched niches. I want you to tell Lindsay and tell, the Cypress Room what has happened with your account. Has anything happened with your Instagram account lately?
Yes,
I'm putting her on blast. She didn't know I was going to do this.
So my Spark Creative account had just been sitting there for a while, and I hadn't really done anything with it because I've sort of transitioned away from soliciting new clients just because right at this very moment I'm at capacity as far as commitments and work goes. So I went ahead and switched it over to just be like a fun personal account for
things that you love, like what?
For things that I love, like beauty, skincare, working out, I don't know, just
over
fun
40
stuff.
lifestyle.
Over 40 lifestyle.
Over 40 and thriving lifestyle.
Yes. To just, I guess for me, the thing that I always thought is I don't see a lot of people my age necessarily out there sharing the things they love, or even somebody who's my size or my height or whatever. So
our season of life.
Our season of life. Yes.
And I want you to tell everybody the name that you came up with.
Yes. The account, and we'll put it down here on the screen, but it's Meggie, not Maggie. And
it's hilarious.
And that
I need to know
I
the
feel like
story
it's
behind this.
Well,
let me tell the story because I just realized this. I know it because we're together, and especially when we're at Haven or something and she's introducing herself. This year at Haven, it clicked for me. She was introducing herself. It was actually Sean T. Shout out to Sean T. If you ever did Beachbody workouts, he was in the lobby where Haven was. And I was we have to go talk to him because we used to do Beachbody after we had our kids. God. Anyways, I digress. So every time she introduces herself to Sean T, hi, I'm Meggie. He goes, Maggie? She goes, Meggie, nice to meet you. And after we walked away from that interaction, I said, every single person you introduce yourself to goes, Maggie, and you have to go, Meggie. And she goes, I was I've known you for 14 years, and it just registered with me. Mm-hmm. And so when she was I've been thinking about, I think I'm gonna make this account Meggie, not Maggie. I'm that is perfect.
That is literally perfect. That's
and
the
that
best
is
story I've heard in a long time.
That is exactly why I chose that name. And the funniest part is I was editing another video that's coming out, and there was a whole conversation before we shot our intro about me doing that whole thing. I am Meggie. Maggie. And I was just cracking up when I heard it because
and she even Meggie, when she introduces herself to people, she's overemphasizes all that she can every time. Maggie, no Meggie.
Yeah. So that's the inspiration behind the name on my new Instagram and TikTok.
I think it's
so yes,
fun.
I made the switch. I'm trying to post regular content there and put, we're getting all this good advice from creators like you and everybody we get to talk to. So it's sort of also my experiment to put into practice all these things that we're talking about all the time. I figured I need to go in there and practice what I preach, on this podcast, all the things I've learned. And so, yeah.
Perfect. Well, Lindsay, thank you so much for being here. We're going to put all her details down in the description box where you can find her because you want to be following her for when that cookbook comes out and all these other dreams and plans that she has. And you just need to try her fabulous recipes, which we're going to go do too. So thank you so much, you guys, for being here in the Cypress Room, and we will see you next time.